Mes chers compatriotes, chers frères,
To understand how the coup rumors spread like wildfire, we must first understand the landscape, both political and psychological, in Côte d'Ivoire. It began with whispers, hushed rumors spreading through the alleys of Abidjan, amplified by cryptic tweets and TikTok videos filmed in grainy low light. By the second week of May 2025, one word dominated social media in Côte d'Ivoire and, far beyond, coup. Was the government of President Alassane Ouattara about to fall? Was the military mobilizing? Some claimed tanks had rolled through the streets. Others pointed to power outages, flight delays, or troop movements as signs that something big and dangerous was underway. But as the smoke cleared, one question echoed louder than the rumors. Was any of it true? Or was the world once again witnessing a dangerous fusion of anxiety, misinformation, and political gamesmanship? Today on Pan-African Hub, we take you on a deep dive into one of the year's most politically charged controversies. This is not just a story about a supposed coup, it's a story about power, propaganda, trust, and truth in modern Africa. Let's dissect the coup claims, fact versus fiction. To understand how the coup rumors spread like wildfire, we must first understand the landscape, both political and psychological, in Côte d'Ivoire. In 2020, President Alassane Ouattara controversially ran for a third term after the unexpected death of his handpicked successor, Prime Minister Amadou Gon Coulibaly. Many believed the Ivorian constitution limited presidents to 2 terms. But Ouattara argued that a 2016 constitutional rewrite reset the term count. The result? A landslide win, and violent protests that left dozens dead and over 100 arrested, according to reports by Human Rights Watch, HRW 2020. Though the international community largely accepted the result, many Ivorians were left with a bitter taste in their mouths. The opposition called it a democratic backslide, and for many citizens, trust in government and the electoral process never fully recovered. Fast forward to 2025. A new presidential election is scheduled for October, and the political temperature is already boiling. The star of the opposition? Tidjane Thiam, a technocrat with international clout and elite credentials. The former CEO of Credit Suisse, Thiam had returned home, renounced his French citizenship to comply with Ivorian law, and positioned himself as the face of democratic change. But on April 22nd, the Ivorian government dropped a bombshell. Thiam had been removed from the voter register. Citing a 1961 nationality law, the authorities claimed he wasn't eligible, despite his recent efforts to become fully Ivorian again. Thiam fired back, "I am Ivorian. I will not abandon my people." This move inflamed an already volatile electorate. Was the ruling party eliminating its strongest rival before the fight even began? Protests followed. So did online speculation, and the beginnings of what would become a full-blown coup rumors. By early May, keywords like Abidjan, coup, and military began trending in Francophone West Africa. TikTok videos showed trucks on highways. Facebook posts cited anonymous sources claiming arrests in military barracks. WhatsApp voice notes circulated like wildfire, full of fear and fury. But were these sources real? The anatomy of a viral rumor. One viral tweet from May 10th read, "Hearing multiple reports of troop movements in Abidjan. Something big is going down. Ivory Coast, coup alert." Another popular TikTok video claimed the army had surrounded the presidential palace. It showed what appeared to be soldiers moving near a government building, but no verified timestamp, no location metadata, and no identifiable figures. Independent analysts at the Africa Center for Strategic Studies reviewed several viral videos. Their verdict? Most of these clips were old, recycled, or taken out of context. A few were from other West African countries entirely. It wasn't the first time misinformation had gone viral, but this time it hit during a perfect storm: political unrest, distrust in official media, and a region already familiar with military coups. No credible confirmation, notably, no major news outlet, not Al Jazeera, not Reuters, not France 24, not BBC Afrique, confirmed any military takeover or official coup attempt in Côte d'Ivoire. The government itself remained calm and continued daily operations without interruption. Minister of Defense Tene Ibrahim Ouattara, the president's brother, released a brief statement saying, "There is no abnormal activity within the armed forces. The republic is stable." Still, theremies persisted. Why did so many people believe the rumors, even without proof? The answer lies in regional psychology and recent history. West Africa's coup epidemic. Since 2020, West Africa has seen a stunning number of military coups. Mali, 2020, 2021, Guinea, 2021, Burkina Faso, 2022, Niger, 2023, Gabon, 2023. These coups, often justified by corruption or insecurity, have fueled an undercurrent of anti-establishment sentiment, especially among youth populations. Many now view coups not as threats to democracy, but as resets. As Pan-African sentiment rises and France's influence wanes, calls for sovereignty and accountability have grown louder, and coups have, in some corners, become symbols of resistance. Ivory Coast, despite its relative economic stability, is not immune to this trend. When institutions feel inaccessible or rigged, the street turns to alternatives, even ones that bypass the constitution. Despite the social media frenzy, hard evidence tells a different story. Let's look at what the facts say and what they don't. No military mutiny. Rumors of military unrest pointed to unusual troop movements in major cities like Abidjan and Bouaké. But security analysts, including those at the Institute for Security Studies, ISS Africa, noted that these movements were routine patrols and logistical repositioning connected to upcoming border operations and anti-jihadist coordination in the north. One retired Ivorian army colonel, interviewed by Jeune Afrique, explained, "Every time there's an election, the army increases visibility for deterrence. That's not a coup, that's precaution." Furthermore, there were no verified reports of communication blackouts, command chain breakdowns, or leadership detentions, all standard hallmarks of a real coup attempt. The government was still functioning. Government buildings remained open. Cabinet sessions were held. Schools were in session. President Ouattara continued holding meetings and even made a public appearance at the opening of an agricultural expo on May 13th, in front of national cameras. These are not the behaviors of a government under siege. As Al Jazeera noted in their May 15th dispatch, despite swirling rumors, there is no indication of a rupture in civilian rule or suspension of state institutions. One factor that added gasoline to the coup rumors was France's recent military exit from Côte d'Ivoire. In early 2025, it was confirmed that French troops stationed at the Port Bouet base in Abidjan, their last major military presence in the region, would withdraw and hand control back to the Ivorian army by June. Some observers mistakenly viewed this transition as evidence of power struggles or even international abandonment of Ouattara's government. But that's not the case. Strategic sovereignty, not collapse. This move is part of a broader regional realignment. After coup in Burkina Faso, Mali, and Niger severed ties with Paris, France shifted its military focus. Côte d'Ivoire, a close ally, negotiated the peaceful, planned withdrawal of foreign troops from domestic soil. President Ouattara called the handover a step forward for Ivorian sovereignty. Le Monde Diplomatique echoed that view, stating, "It is not a breakdown, but a symbol of maturity. Abidjan is signaling that it is capable of defending itself and governing itself on Ivorian terms." However, in the minds of many, especially youth steeped in anti-French sentiment, the French exit was interpreted as a red flag. On platforms like Facebook and X, France leaves, Iran's collapse begins, became an unchallenged narrative. This was fiction, but it spread faster than truth. So why did so many Ivorians, and even Africans in the diaspora, believe there was a coup? The answer isn't just about social media, it's also about institutional distrust and the vacuum left by poor communication. When the Thiem voter controversy broke, the Ivorian government offered no comprehensive press conference explaining the legal basis. That silence opened the floodgates for speculation. And when rumors of the coup emerged, the government's response was again limited to brief denials, with no national address, no military spokesperson, no effort to counter viral disinformation directly. That silence was costly, as one Abidjan-based journalist told DW News. In West Africa today, if the state doesn't tell its story fast, someone else will. In a region where many view formal institutions as opaque or corrupt, conspiracy thinking thrives. This is not unique to Côte d'Ivoire. It's a psychological reflex in environments where truth is scarce and fear is familiar. In such conditions, many ask, why would so many people be lying? But a better question is, why are so few people trusted to tell the truth? So, if there was no coup, what now? The answer lies in the countdown to the October 2025 presidential elections, which are now shaping up to be the most critical vote in Ivory Coast in over a decade. Tidjane Thiam remains at the heart of the political debate. The Electoral Commission has yet to officially reinstate him, and civil society groups are pressuring for transparency and legal clarity. His supporters see him as a symbol of modern African leadership, educated, pan-African, reformist, and ready to break the cycle of dynastic rule. The ruling RHDP party sees him as a threat, one that could split their base, especially in urban areas. Unless the government handles his disqualification with clarity and fairness, the risk of real unrest, not imaginary coups, will grow. With an aggrieved opposition, a disengaged youth population, economic inequality, regional insecurity, bleeding from Burkina Faso, and growing pan-African assertiveness. Ivory Coast is sitting on a powder keg. A misstep in the electoral process could turn rumors into riots and distrust into disaster. To separate fact from fiction, let's clarify the truths that hold up under scrutiny, backed by reliable sources. No arrests of senior officials, no seizure of radio or TV stations, and no suspension of constitutional order. All key government ministries continue to operate, including Defense and Foreign Affairs. Multiple international news outlets, including Reuters, France 24, DW News, BBC Afrique, and Al Jazeera, found no evidence to support coup allegations. Most viral videos had no metadata, were taken out of context, or were from entirely different countries. TikTok and Facebook disinformation campaigns recycled visuals from past protests or unrelated military exercises. Analysts at the Africa Center for Strategic Studies and ISS Africa debunked many of the viral claims. The French military exit was scheduled. The French troop departure from Port-Bouet was announced in advance and planned cooperatively with the Ivorian government. It was a symbol of growing regional autonomy, not instability. The real political firestorm was not a coup, but the Electoral Commission's decision to remove Tidjane Thiam from the voter registry. The government's lack of transparent communication created a vacuum that conspiracy theorists filled. In short, there was no coup, but the crisis of confidence is very, very real. Disinformation and silence are a deadly mix. They undermine trust, destabilize institutions, and give power to those who weaponize confusion. So what must happen now for Côte d'Ivoire and for Africa? 1. Transparent electoral process. The Electoral Commission must clearly explain why Tidjane Thiam was barred and whether there is a legal pathway to reinstatement. Independent observers from the African Union, ECOWAS, and the United Nations should be invited early, not at the last minute. Public debates, Televised forums and access to media must be guaranteed for all legitimate candidates. A peaceful October depends on how the state handles May through September. 2. Media literacy for the masses' civic education campaigns in schools, markets, and on the airwaves can teach citizens how to identify legitimate news, verify sources, and ask critical questions. Youth must be shown that digital freedom comes with responsibility and that repeating a lie is not spreading awareness, it's building chaos. Regional stability. Through democratic credibility, ECOWAS must evolve beyond reactive sanctions and build proactive political pressure mechanisms. Democracy in West Africa cannot survive without public belief in its rules. Ensuring independent courts and protecting press freedom, otherwise every election year will bring new rumors, and someday one might become reality. Côte d'Ivoire has endured civil war, post-election violence, and political assassinations. But it has also shown remarkable resilience, bouncing back to become one of Africa's fastest-growing economies. In 2025, it stands at another crossroads. Will fear shape the future, or will truth? The fake coup of May 2025 was a stress test, not of the military, but of the people. And the real battleground wasn't in barracks or boardrooms. It was on your screen, in your group chats, and on your feed. We must learn the lesson. In the digital age, rumors are weapons, but truth is defense. Let us defend it. If you love this story from the heart of Africa, tap like, hit subscribe, and ring the bell to stay informed on real events shaping the continent.